Hey y'all, so this is kind of like an update, like a part two from my video from weeks ago when I was talking about how good God is. And I was saying in that video that he had did something big for me, but I couldn't really speak on it because it was not the time, and that time has now come so I can talk on it. And then also I just wanted to touch base on how God led me to reading my Bible and that little story, because it's a story within itself. And yeah, let me just get right into it. So back in October, there was basically when all of my I guess trials and tribulations, everything came to a head, right? So leading up to October, specifically like the summer months leading up to October, things started getting really crazy on my end. I was literally being stripped from everything. You know how in the Bible it talks about how Jesus and the devil made a bet, and Jesus, basically handed over Job to the devil and said, okay, now's the time. You can do what you need to do, but you can't kill this person, right? And the devil stripped him of everything he could, did everything trying to see what he could take from Job to make him curse God, right? So that's the situation I was in. And that was like one of the biggest issues. I was not experiencing, like I'm being stripped from everything. But in my circumstances, in the season I'm in right now, my finances, that was the biggest thing. And the devil knew if he could attack that, or he thought if he could attack that and take from me, that was in return going to make me curse God and be mad at God. And basically, act like I'm not a believer. I don't know what he was thinking was going to happen, but it didn't go the way he thought it was. So, like I said, the devil attacked my finances bad, extremely, extremely bad. And my God, you forced me to move to Florida because you blocked every opportunity, every door, every window, every peephole when it came to me buying a house in Pennsylvania. Like, you completely blocked it. You made sure there was not a way. So with that being said, now that you move me, I expect the God to come through and to, help me. I'm like, God, you got me down here. You got me in the middle of nowhere. I can't find no job. I got my kids to take care of. I have a child who is special needs. Like, so she cannot go into a facility. She needs a stay-at-home parent. So with that, the bills don't stop. So it was just like all this stuff I was facing. And I'm like, God, I know that you're in control. And I know that whatever I'm going through, you're allowing it to happen, and I'm going to learn my lesson. And more, what I learned from it, the biggest lesson of all, was to be still. Stop trying to fix my problems. I kept trying to fix my problems. So what I mean by that is I kept going on Indeed, filling out applications. I kept going on interviews. Either something would happen at the interview, or something would happen right before the interview, or I wouldn't get the job. Like, something was always happening. And then it got to a point where I had to realize I can't do nothing. And you know what happened? I didn't realize it until God took my car. It was a Friday. And my car went from driving perfectly fine to that day, it stopped. Like, I got transmission issues. My warranty company won't even cover it. Like, that's a whole nother story. And I did make a video on that. I'm going to go meet a child and her mother. It was a toddler I was going to be working with. I went to go meet them that Friday, I think at 3 or 3:30. And yeah, needless to say, I didn't get the job, and I did not have a car. And I feel like God took my car because leading up to the end of September, he kept trying to give me signs and let me know this is not the path I want you to go down. But I would not stop, because in my mind, I'm a parent. I got to make sure I, keep my household running. So I'm doing what I got to do. I'm going to do the applications. I'm going to, work a job, even if I'm not getting paid what I would feel as though I'm worth and what I need. But at the end of the day, I need a job right now. So I'm going to do what I got to do. God was like, nope, let me snatch up that car. And once he did that, he set me down, completely stripped me from my car. Now I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Now I'm in a situation where my mortgage is at jeopardy. Like, I have children. I have never been put in a situation where I was faced with, I guess, potential homelessness. I've been on my own since I've been 19 years old. I've never lived with nobody since I've been a child. So I've always held my own. I don't know what it's like to be without housing, I would say. I know what it's like to be without. I don't know what it's like to be without housing. And that's not to say I'm better than anybody whatsoever. I'm specifically talking about my situation and what I got going on. I've never faced it. And I'm like, of all times, now is the worst time. I have, like I said, 4 kids. Again, I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm better than anybody else who got to go to a shelter or anything with 4 kids, but I'm talking about my life journey. And I just like to be prepared. I don't like my kids to have to be put in situations, based off of my actions. I'm a really good mom. I go above and beyond to make sure my kids are well taken care of. So anyway, like I was saying, back to the story. My car broke down. I'm like, God, what am I going to do? My mortgage is coming up October 1st. And for the first time in my, I guess, adulthood, since I've been living on my own since 19 years old, I've never not even attempted to pay something. Now, there's been times where I may have been short on my rent. And actually there was one time in May of 2016, I did not have anything, and there was a church help me. I will never forget that. I needed help so bad, and God sent these people to me. I never attended their church. I never seen these people afterwards, but in May of 2016, these people gave me $1,200. That's how much my rent was at the time. They gave me $1,200 to help me. And God puts people in your life when it's needed. They really helped me out. So fast forward again to this situation. I'm like, oh my God, like October 1st is coming up. What am I going to do? I have nothing. Like, I'm basically effed, right? And keep in mind, in Florida, we had just got over 2 hurricanes back to back. We had 2 hurricanes back to back. So my man, he really was kind of down and out with work, not really bringing in nothing. I'm already not working, so I have nothing. And I literally had to trust God. I'm like, God, like, you have me in a season, in a situation where I can't do anything. So I literally solely have to trust and depend on you. And y'all, I know this is a long story. I apologize. This is just who I am as a person. I give a lot of details, but when I tell you the way God came through, man, it's like, if God can do these wonderful miracles and blessings in my life, what do you think he can do for you? That's the whole reason why I share these things. I share my testimonies and the things that I go through, because there's so many lost souls out there. There's so many people out there needing help. There's so many people who just need to hear somebody else's good story to give them that little bit of hope for them to keep going. And that's why I do what I do. So back to my story again. So October 1st comes. I don't have no mortgage money. So I'm like sitting here stressed, the whole, well, not whole month, because October 14th, it was a Monday specifically, is when things turned around. And I'm telling you guys these dates so that you can pay attention to like how fast God can move. You know what I mean? Like, we put time limits and time frames on God, and it's like, no, in an instant, like suddenly he can switch your whole situation around. So anyway, like I said, the first came. I'm stressed. I'm trying to keep it cool. I'm just still behind the scenes doing what I have to do. Every single day, I was still filling out applications, even though I knew I didn't have no car. But it was just something in me that was making me feel like, I still need to try. So I filled out applications for the first 3 days, or maybe it was the first week of October, right? And then I completely gave up. I'm like, this is not working. There's no point. Because the times and the days that people was calling me to schedule an interview, I was not able to make it because I didn't have access to a car. So I'm like, I'm literally in a situation where I have to depend on God. So I'm like, okay, well, let me reach out to see if I can get some help from a church. I didn't get that thought until October 14th. But during the 2 weeks of October, I'm still like trying to figure out, what are my options? What can I do? What can I do? Every single day, the frustration is growing. The disappointment is growing. Like, every single day I'm questioning God, and I'm like getting angry, not at him, but at the situation, because I know he's in control. He's omnipresent. So if anything is happening, I need to go to the source. The source is Jesus. Why is this happening to me? What can I do to learn from it? How do I hurry up and switch this around? I don't like this. Like, I know that everything we go through is a lesson. or a blessing. You know what I mean? Like you were learning something. And I'm the type of person, I don't need to keep going through the same thing to take, to take heed. Like, no, I picked up the first time. So when God was like ignoring me, 'cause that's how I felt, I'm like, what is going on here? Like, I got these kids in this house. How am I going to provide? Like, you stripped me from my car. You're blocking my avenues for me to get a job. Like, God, what are you doing to me? What is happening? And not only is it going to affect me, there's a whole gang behind me. So it's like, God, come on. This is the conversation that I'm saying we, but I was having with him, right? So a few days before the 14th, I stopped praying, asking for things. Now, but it got to a point where I stopped asking him for what I needed. I'm like, God, you know what I need. You know what situation I'm in. Why am I going to keep repeating the same thing to you? Why am I going to keep saying the same prayer to you as if you didn't hear me the first time? I'm like, maybe you want me to just stop asking for the same thing and learn to be still. Don't do anything. Allow you to be you. And I need to take a back seat and just stay quiet. Like, just as a parent knows their child's needs and their child's wants and what situation they're in and how they need to help them, God knows the exact same thing. So I'm like, why am I going to keep talking to him, preaching to him as if he don't know? Let me just shut up, right? So I just stopped asking him. Literally for like 3 or 4 days leading up to the 14th, I stopped asking him. In between the 1st and the 14th, the bank started calling me. So I want to say maybe they called me about 4 or 5 times. Like I said, anywhere between, they started calling around like the 5th. So between like the 5th and the 14th, they started calling. I was not answering the phone because I didn't know what to say. And I've never in my life been in a situation like this. Never. I felt ashamed. I felt so many emotions. I'm like, how? The bank is calling. I'm not answering because I don't know what to tell these people. I've also only been in my home for a little over a year. So I'm like, I know the bank not trying to hear nothing. Like, I haven't even been here that long. These people want their money. This is a mortgage company. It's not like, a bank, that's holding a mortgage. It's not like I'm contacting a landlord where they might be more lenient. Because that was my situation when I was renting. My landlord was very lenient. She was very understanding. Like, literally God's gift to earth. Like, I thank God so much for that woman. But the bank not like that. The bank, they want their money, honey. So I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm not answering their phone calls. So Monday, October 14th comes. Oh my gosh. So I woke up and I was mad because I'm like, here it is, Monday. It is the 14th. I have until the 17th before technically I'm officially late on my mortgage. They're going to, report it to my credit bureau, and I don't know what happens. But then my whole thing is, how long are they going to let me go before I get an eviction? Because there's nothing that's going to change between now and next month. I don't have a car. I don't have a job. So we are in October 14th. I don't even have October's mortgage. In 2 more weeks, I got to turn around and worry about November. So while all this happening, I'm like, damn, it's really Monday. I'm mad. Like, not mad that I'm alive, but mad that it was Monday. If it would have been a weekend, I was cool. But knowing what I was up against, I woke up mad. So I'm just like, man, here we go again. Another week of stressing. Basically, like, what am I going to do, right? So I get mad. I'm fixing my bed, and I like threw my pillow, whatever. And I'm like, God, I'm tired. I've never done that before. But it's like I was at my breaking point. I threw my pillow, right? So I called a church. So this is where I was saying early in the video that it had came to me, like, maybe reach out to a church and see if I can get some help. Because like I said, in May of 2016, and I would never forget that because it was impactful in my life, I reached out to a church and they helped me. So I'm like, maybe it'll be the same thing this time. I reached out to the church and the church was not able to help me because I don't have rent. I have a mortgage. So they're like, oh, they're not able to assist me because I have a mortgage and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my God, like, be for real. Like, because I have a mortgage, you're not going to help me. But if I had rent, you would help me. And I'm like, I wanted to ask her, like, did God tell you to separate and not help people like that? But, I didn't do it. So I'm like, okay, ma'am. Hung up the phone. I want to say it was like 15, 20 minutes later, because this all happened before 9:30. So a couple minutes after 9 o'clock is when I called the church. Right before 9:30 is when a bank called me. Mind you, like I was saying, the bank had already been calling me 4 or 5 times before the 14th, right? The bank calls me about 9:30 Monday morning on the 14th. So when they call, I'm like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and answer this phone call because these people want their money. I answer the phone call. So immediately the woman is like verifying my identity, you know, address, name, phone number, da da da. Once we get through that, she's asking, is me and my family okay? So the conversation was taking me by surprise. I'm like, this woman is asking me if me and my family okay. And the reason why she was asking that is because of the hurricane. I'm thinking she about to get right to the point. You're behind on your rent. I mean, your mortgage. When you're going to make the payment, blah, 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 blah. It's going to be late on the 17th. So she's asking, like, did you guys experience any damage to your house? Did you experience, you know, like any damages from the hurricane? You know, so I'm explaining to her, like, we only had lost power for 24 hours, but my food is still good. We didn't have any type of damage, blah, 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 blah. So, she goes on to say, you know, is there anything that you're struggling with? You know, anything you need help? She's still talking about related to the hurricane. And I was like, well, no, ma'am, but I'm in a situation right now that I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to keep up with my mortgage because I don't have my car. And I was like, I can't find employment right now. So things have been kind of like, you know, tough on my end financially. So I was trying to explain to her, you know, financially, I'm kind of like in a situation where I'm not doing good and I'm trying my best, but obviously I don't have the money for the mortgage. So she goes on again and asks me, did my home experience any damage due to the hurricane? And I was like, no, ma'am, it did not. So she was like, okay, hold on one second. Let me see what I can do for you. This woman comes back to the phone. I hope everyone is paying attention to this story because it's really showing who God is and what he can do for you. Literally cannot make this up. Oh man. So she comes back to the phone. She was telling me that she's able to put my home, like my mortgage, in like forbearance. So basically it literally just pauses your mortgage payments and they're not going to report it late to the credit bureau. There's no late fees. And yeah. So then so when she says that, I'm like stuck. So I'm like, oh my God, like that's even an option for me. Like, some people may have thought like, well, why didn't you call and ask that? You can't call and ask for something that you don't even know is an option. I didn't even know what that was. Like that I don't know. I'm saying the same thing over and over because I just assumed that, you know, you miss a few payments. Well, I didn't miss any. I was almost about to miss one, but God came through. But what I'm saying is I just assumed you miss a couple of payments. They're notifying you, you know, your home is going up for foreclosure and you're evicted. That's how I thought that worked. I didn't know that there was ever an option to pause your mortgage. So the woman is asking me, you know, so then she asked me, how long do I want my mortgage paused? The person who was late on their mortgage, this woman calls me, checks on me. I tell her what I'm going through. Then she in return tells me, oh, I can just pause your mortgage. How long do you want your mortgage paused for? All right, we're going to get through this video. Hold on. So yeah, so she's asking me like, how long do I want the mortgage to be paused for? So I was just like thinking real quick. So I was like, 3 months. So she was like, okay. And this whole time I'm still like trying to process everything. I'm telling you, God gonna be the only person that can get me on this camera crying. But anyway, so as she's saying, like, you know, she's typing in the computer, da da da. She's like, all right, well, you have 3 months, blah blah blah. She was like, well, today's the 14th. Here's where it gets crazy. She was like, today's the 14th. Would you like to backdate it so that your forbearance will cover the whole month of October, or do you want to like set it for a certain date? Mind you, I'm already late. I am 2 weeks late. I'm going to keep stressing this because I want you to understand like how crazy this is. And like, it don't matter what your circumstances look like. God is in control, man. This woman calls me on the 14th. I did not pay my mortgage. Not $1 to my mortgage. My mortgage, not to put y'all in my biz, but it's over $2,300. I didn't pay $1 to that at all in October. That woman called me. Like I said, she put my mortgage in forbearance. She was able to pause it, asked me how long I wanted to pause, then asked me if I wanted to backdate to October 1st so that it covered the whole entire month. You literally cannot tell me God is not good. Like, so the woman did it, you know? So here I am. I'm like, wow, God, like, you've came through before. But that right there, I wasn't expecting that. But when do we ever expect God to do what he does? He works in mysterious ways. But it's like, man, like, when you really sit and think about what situation you in and to see how he pulled you out. Another pause. So I'm just going to go ahead and wrap this up because it's getting difficult for me to even talk. But I'm glad that I shared this. I can't end it there. I have to finish. Hold on. All right. Let me just get through this last part. So the woman solidifies everything. It's in the system. My mortgage is paused for 3 months, right? So although, yes, God paused my mortgage, he literally made it where though there's no penalties to me being late or anything like that. But at the end of the day, the money still got to get paid. It's not like the mortgage is paused and I don't have to owe that balance. Come the end of the 3 months would have been January 1st. I now owe 3 months of mortgage. And it has to be paid on the 1st. And that's not including January's mortgage. So for me, for my 3 months, the total was like a little over, well, it was close to like $7,200 for 3 months worth of mortgage, right? So like I said, God did what he did when he paused the mortgage. Now I'm like, okay, well, how is it going to get paid? Where's this money coming from? October, I did not make a payment. November, I did not make a payment. December, and when I made this payment in December, technically I only missed October and November. December's was already paid early. December's was paid on time. I didn't even need the 3 months. Whew. This is a lot. This is really a lot. But talking about stuff like this, when you have a true testimony and what God done did for you, I don't know how you get through it without breaking down like this. So this is kind of normal, but it's just the crying on camera for me that I'm just not a fan of. But it's like real emotions, man. Like, I can't help it. So basically, I gotta pause this, man. All right, I'm almost there. I'm almost done. So December's mortgage was paid on time. I received an unexpected deposit. God, man. The money that was deposited into my account was enough for me to cover my 3 months worth of back mortgage, or I guess technically 2 months worth of back mortgage. The point I'm making is it was enough to cover 3 months worth of mortgage and still had some left over. Overflow. God made sure the $7,200 that I needed, I had that and some. So now that my car is down, it's like I'm not worried about no car. Like, God done came through in like so many ways, and I know if he took that car, he took it for a reason, because it's already too small. My SUV does not really comfortably fit all 4 of my kids. So if he allowed that to happen, I know there's something big in store coming for me. And it feels good to be able to talk about it and release this, because I've been holding on to this for so long. But when God tells me to move is when I move. When he tells me to talk is when I talk. When he tells me to hush up is when I hush up. There's a time for everything. So I really hope that if anybody is in a situation where you feel lack, you literally give all your problems to God. 'Cause I'm telling you, it may sound crazy if he tells you to do something or not to do something, or to, don't apply for a job, or to leave a job, or to go to this place, or do whatever he's telling you to do. It may sound crazy, I'm telling you, but if you really follow him, oh man. You would really be surprised where you can go. My eyes are bloodshot. I gotta go. I can't even talk about how he led me to the Bible. That's actually a really good story. There isn't gonna be any tears. So I think anybody who watched the end of this video, is very long, but it's very powerful if you actually can get through it. It was emotional. It was emotional to make. It was emotional to go through what I went through. But you know, our testimonies are our testimonies, and most people, at least speaking for myself, you know, when it don't matter how long it's been, when you just think about the goodness of the Lord, it will bring you to tears. And I hope that you take whatever you're going through and just take it to God, because He really is the only one who can help you. And yeah, I'll see y'all in the next video.